Well, a very good evening from the home address on the 19th of August 26. There's nothing much changed in the corner, Andrew, has there? No, why should I change the corner? It's perfectly fine. Yes, there's nothing wrong with the corner. I've done a few loads, but I've done a few speeches to the camera, but I haven't done any loading because I've been absolutely too busy. In fact, I was thinking, I've not seen the cat for, when was the last time I saw the cat? It was the 12th of August. It's a week. Now, I know that she's almost due. I think in the last video I made about the cat, it was I mentioned it was going to be, well, I had a feeling it would be due on the 19th of August, which is this evening. But his owner has been keeping the cat indoors for obvious reasons. She doesn't want it, out in case it goes somewhere to deliver a new litter of kittens, and no one can find the cat or the kittens. So that's understandable. So it makes me think the last time I saw the cat, it sneaked out just to come and see me. But I have missed it. It's now been a whole week. And the upload, which I might do, although it's a stationary camera in the kitchen, it's not very good viewing. It's just me chatting for almost damn 40 minutes. But that's sometimes the way I make my videos. I don't always have to be, floating around the landscape. But as I say, next time I hear about the cat, it's probably going to be that it's giving its second litter of the year, April and August. We'll see. But what I've done is, one of the reasons I've opened up the camera this evening, I was just sitting there thinking. Last night, unexpectedly, something came into my recommendation box on YouTube, and it was about the A9 bypass, Killiecrankie, 1986. I couldn't believe it. Some Scottish archive unit, road archive unit, put it up yesterday. So I saw it immediately, and I actually commented. I watched the video, of course, and then I commented because it was like it just zoomed me straight back in time. And I think I maybe mentioned something about this on my uploads over the last, 4 or 5 years at least, about my Killiecrankie episode. But just for a bit of a retake on it, and I'll recount what the story was, because the A9 Killiecrankie was one of the biggest engineering projects in the United Kingdom. I think I think that obviously the Channel Tunnel is bigger, but at the time, 1986, this engineering project was pretty massive. A lot of people worked on that road during the daytime, but I was in the skeleton staff working night shift. There was very few of us worked night shift, but I did 12-hour night shifts, 8 o'clock at night to 8 in the morning. And it was a long shift, especially after 2 a.m. It started to drag. 6 hours to go. And of course, I worked in the depths of the winter, so it was absolutely bloody Baltic up there. In fact, I know for a fact that, because we took temperature recordings, minus 22 degrees Celsius, minus 22 in working. We travelled up, me and a buddy. We'd got a Triumph Spitfire. He bought it very cheaply. I'm talking about £35 or something. Cars weren't expensive back in those days. well, people didn't really bother too much about MOTs and stuff either, or licenses, or insurance, or anything like that. But we had this Triumph Dolomites, and we started to, because we went on to the night shift, and we travelled from Crieff up to Killiecrankie, which is north of Pitlochry, of course. And because it was just an old wreck of a car, it took more than an hour to get there. And we travelled through over the Small Glen, very familiar route for me. As I say, we travelled and then got to the stage that it was becoming very, very exhausting, that all we were doing was travelling, working, travelling, working, travelling, working, and in between all that, sleeping. So we made that decision that we would take on this caravan. It was a hellhole. It was horrid. I hated it. But it was, excuse me, it was really just a place to put your head. And I very much remember coming in from the shift, going into this horrible damp caravan and cooking sausages and rice pudding. And that was our meal. Sausages and rice pudding seemed to be all we ever ate. And going to your bed, eating your evening meal, watching bloody Anne Diamond on that breakfast television thing. And anyway, that's all it was, working and sleeping. And a few, some visits to the pub. But they were few and far between because of the location of where we were. I think I went down to Pitlochry once, or down to Blair Athol for a drink. But, or more than once, Andy, come on. But what I was going to say was the weather at the tail end of it become pretty severe. And at that time, in 1986, there wasn't the same, you never got hysterical weather forecasters like you do nowadays, like the Met Office and stuff, or any UK forecasters who make such a big deal of it. And it really annoys me. It's weather, that's all it is, it's just weather, and they make such a dramatic case about it all the time. The media do in its entirety. I hate it all. I was a fan of listening to the radio, even when I was quite young. BBC Radio Scotland, for example, came on the airwaves, I think it was 1979. And I was quite an early listener to that programme, because I still had a paper round, I think, in 1979, up by Heathcote Road and Gordon Road area. Well, the whole area of northwest Crieff that I had my paper round. And anyway, I spoke to a lady one time. I think the house was called Hawkhill, or was it Hawkshaw? Was it Hawkhill or Hawkshaw Cottage? I think it was in Gordon Road. I must try and remember that. And I said to her, what is that radio station that you listen to? She said, oh, this is Radio Scotland, BBC Radio Scotland. I said, I didn't know. It was a very pleasant voice that chap's got. I think his name was Bill Jack. Bill Jack, the newsreader. But I just remembered his name just now. But the programme itself, yes, Bill Jack, and then there's a presenter called Jimmy Mac, and there was a presenter called Jimmy McGregor, which is all just rushing past. This went right into the 80s, of course, and I've mentioned Robbie Shepherd. I think the original programme was called The Real Blends, and then it became Take the Floor. But Robbie Shepherd is, of course, no longer with us. And I think the presenter of that programme is now Gary Innes. He does a good job, actually. I don't like his Sunday show quite so much. Because I don't like this new situation of male and female presenters. Crikey, you don't need two people to present a one radio show. You only need one person. That's what the records are there for, to give the DJ a break. But this over chatting on radio stations, I just turn it off now. And while I'm on that subject, I mean, Robbie Shepherd held the whole show himself. He didn't need any sort of sidekick to butt in. Well, I just think there's too much of it now, and I found that during the World Cup that those female commentators that they kept butting in with irrelevant nonsense because they knew nothing about football. So that was another reason I switched it off, even with watching the highlights on YouTube in the morning, 8 minutes long. Andrew, will you get on with your story, please? I'm just saying, I even watched the athletics. I was watching the 5,000 metres last night. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I switched on the 10,000 metres today to watch that, and bloody female commentator kept butting in with, once again, with irrelevant shite. I had to turn it off. I thought, I'm not watching 25 laps of the bloody the arena with her butting in every so often with nonsense. So I just switched off the race. That's what I mean. It's why have they got this, this diversity has gone completely crazy, that they must have the balance the whole time. We'll try and get the balance into the workforce. It's bloody awful. 85% of the people employed in Scotland are damn females, just about, in most organisations. This has got nothing to do with the tarmac, Andrew, and the A9 at Killiecrankie. Yeah, I always side drift when I'm sitting here. Well, don't. Not good for your viewers. Where were we? Oh, I can't even remember, Andy. Something about Anne Diamond watching breakfast TV at your dinner. Yes, I think that's somewhere where I was. I probably forgot. So the story was that the weather became, oh yes, it's because of the weather. I started ranting about bloody Alex Deakin type people, bloody Met Office and hysterics about everything. At that time there was no hysteria attached to weather. There was occasionally news reports of the weather was very severe, blizzards and stuff like that. And I used to tune in on Radio Scotland primarily for the road reports, because I love to hear about the Glen Shee Road being closed, or the road to Tomintoul, Braemar to Tomintoul Road was blocked or Tomintoul to Fettercairn Road or something like that. Cockbridge to Tomintoul, always blocked. And I used to like listening to this. The 82 at Glencoe is impassable. And the Glen Shee, Perth to Braemar, snow gates are closed at Glen Shee. Well, the snow gates came a bit later, I think. But these were little bulletins that were added in, and I thoroughly enjoyed them, because I used to sit at lunchtime, actually, listening on BBC Radio Scotland in the late 70s and early 80s to the fishing reports. They used to give you a list of the fish that was landed at all the different harbours, like Fraserburgh or Aberdeen or Peterhead or whatnot. Fraser, yeah, so all the harbours in the northeast of Scotland. How much cod and haddock had been landed. I used to like listening to that. She was on about 5 to 1 in I think it was, well, it was a daily report, wasn't it, during the week? At least Tuesdays to Fridays, as I remember. This is well away from your story. No, it's not, I'm telling you. So, back to where we were. There was no hysteria. And so therefore, we had no idea how bad the weather was going to deteriorate, because there was no red warnings or amber warnings or yellow warnings or this type of warning or phones going off for government warnings or, turn on the bloody radio, non-stop. It just, oh, I hate it. So what we would do is listen to it looks like, or it feels like, and I say that together, it looks like and it feels like snow. I mean, you always knew when frosty weather was about, and you always knew when fog was going to come about, and you always knew when the rain was coming, but you also knew in your bones when snow was coming, because the sky turned a sort of different milky colour, and when the snow came, if it came in little drops, powdery drops, and particularly if it came from the east, and you knew you were in for a lot of snow. But if it came in all at once from the west, it was usually big dollops of snow. And if it came in from the north, it obviously just depended where you were, and sort of dictated how much snow you were going to get, and what the wind direction was. Will you get a move on with the story, Andrew? Oh, I'm sorry. So anyway, anticipation of snow was in the air, and plenty of it, and that was my job in that bloody A9 bypass at Killiecrankie. Did I say I've put it in the description box below the link. If you notice, there's big pillars. I worked at the top of those damn pillars, and all I did every night was switch on that compressor, and I had a bloody hose with a long metal end to it, which gave me frostbite. My hands used to stick to the bloody metal. I couldn't get it off, so I had to wear gloves. And did I wear gloves all the time? I don't think I did. But anyway, just blowing that non-stop. And there's no bloody earmuffs that time. I don't remember any. There was definitely safety hats and stuff like that. There was definitely, I'm sure there would have been earmuffs. But whether we wore them or not, I can't really remember. I think we did, Andy. Yes, I think we did. And at one point, I think that was a lifesaver for me. Not on that construction site, but one other construction site I was on. I bent forward to pick up something, not seeing a bloody steel rod sticking out. The steel fixers had tied it. It wasn't their fault, but it was aimed like that. Can you see it? This steel rod. And as I bent down to pick up something, it bloody right into my head. Well, I would have hit my hat. The hat saved my skull from a puncture. Back to the story, Annie. Well, the story is that it's quite simple. We got a knock on the caravan door. You? Yeah. What is it? there's no work. You have to go home. And we tried to open the caravan door, and it shoved it. Could hardly get it open. The guy outside pulled it a wee bit. She says, "Yeah, you'll have to go home, lads. There's no work. Look at it." And I've never seen snow like it. It was absolutely mental. We went to bed in the morning, just after 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And whenever the snow came, I don't know, but it was absolutely crazy. So in my comments, I remember I put in it took, 6 hours to drive 40 miles, 45 miles. Well, that's true, because we set off, we were told that was it, and we went headed down the road. It must have been a Friday, Andy. It must have been a Friday, yes it was. And as we headed, was it Friday? Yes it was a Friday. Because we started on Sunday and we finished on Saturday morning. And so as we're heading down that road, it was just a mile a minute sort of feeling. The snow was so deep. And did I say a mile a minute? It was bloody less. It was really hard going. And the worst of it was dark by the time we reached the turn off. Well, it was dark, but bloody 5:30, wasn't it? And yes, it's just coming back. As we went down, and we had this sort of debate with each other. So if we can go down to Perth, or we can go over the Small Glen. I said, "You never get over the Small Glen." He says, "Yeah, but if we go down to Perth at this rate, and then try and get back to Crieff the other way, we'll miss last orders." And I thought, that's a good point. So I said, "Well, what if we get stuck up in bloody Small Glen?" He said, "Well, we can always work that out." I says to my friend, Colin, his name was, I says, "Colin," I says, "I've been up there in the snow at Amalree, and it's no joke." He says, "Do you want last orders or don't you?" I said, "Yeah, go for it then." So we went up, and it was hate 'em, scare 'em. And it took us ages. And like always, going through Amalree was just, absolutely crazy. And it was the other side of Amalree, this is what I remember. I don't remember anything about Crieff or anything like that, at that time at least. But as we got to the other side of Amalree, it must have been something to do with the wind direction. And all the drifts were blowing. Huge drifts. But this is true, I swear in my life, I swear in family's life and everybody. The reason we made it down, it was the strangest thing ever. But as he was driving, he would get to this great big bloody drift about the height of that wall. And on the ground was bone dry. And he could drive his car like that, round the drift, drive a little along like that, meet another drift and drive round that way. And that's exactly what we did. Mile after mile. It would have been from Amalree right down by Corrie Mucklock, right down probably as far as the Newton Brig. If I think about it, or at least the drifts weren't as bad at Newton Brig, but certainly that top part of the glen. I remember that very vividly. And the great thing is we got back And we go into the pub, and it was 10 minutes to 11. And we got a drink. And it was a great experience, that. But that was the job finished for us. We never went back. No, I didn't go back after that. Yes, that was the job finished, and I'm sure it was. Was it? Yes. Yes, because I'd gone there in January. I'd left Arvret school after 4 years as groundsman. And I said to the what do you call it, the headmaster, who was effectively my boss, but the board of governors were actually the bosses, but headmaster was my immediate boss. And I remember saying to him before Christmas, I said, I think I'm going to call it a day here. And at that time, despite many other times he'd actually doubled my wages one time. I remember that quite clearly. He's like, the poor man's not with us anymore, but he said to me, he says, if it's a matter of money and if we give you a 100% increase on your wages, would that enable you to stay with us? I said, well, it will help. And it sort of got the situation for at least another year, I'm sure it was. And no, it was not another year, it was September 85 until January 86. It was only about 4 months, Andrew, on that extra money. But I remember saying to him, and then he said, well, I think if your mind's made up, what is it you're going to do? I said, I'm going to Killiecrankie to work. He said, oh, how long are you going to work there for? I said, well, it's good money. He says, yes, but it's just a short-term contract, and then you'll be up in the air. Do as you please. But I wanted to do it. I did. I wanted to do that job. And they offered me to go to, what was it, Coolport, to the, what the hell did you call it? The nuclear site. Yes, but I said I don't want a career in construction, I just wanted to do it. And I did enjoy it. There was a great sense of freedom at that time. I don't know what it is. It's not here any longer. I feel that something's been taken away from us all. But just even the fact that you could drive, I'm not saying you drove recklessly. People weren't so damn concerned about how smart the car was from the outside. It didn't matter what it looked like as long as it got you from A to B. And there was a great more freedom in the roads, I don't know, and because we pulled into the Annalary Hotel ourselves, and we'd have a drink or something at the Brand Bar. And that must have been the Saturday's Andy on the way back, I'm sure it was. Not that day, of course, but on other occasions. I can't even remember the ganger's name now, but he was Polish. He was a Polish chap, I know that much, he was Polish. He was all right, It's just over 40 years ago, that, Annie. So I was glad to see the clip. It was nice just to remind myself of in fact, looking down, that was all I remember, was that forested area. is looking down onto that. Of course, there's no leaves in the bloody trees, but that whole vast area and the what do you call it? Killiecrankie, way down below. And it was so cold, that place. I've never felt cold like that, actually. As cold as that, constantly. It was miserable. It really was. It was damn miserable. But the money was absolutely out of this world. And I dare say if I was working a position like that on the same type of wages now, I'd probably be getting about the equivalent of about £2,000 a week, because the money at that time was, well, it was more than adequate. It was pretty good, actually.
It's dark in here and the music's loud. You're moving waves, 3 sets to my side, and I touch your finger, and you're close enough.